I'm Bob Harris of Decorative Concrete Institute. Welcome to Duraamen's training and educational series for industrial and decorative concrete flooring systems. We're getting ready to demonstrate the quartz system, which is a double broadcast of a decorative quartz aggregate into a resinous epoxy material. We start off by priming with Perdure E02, and typically we put that down somewhere between 10 and 15 mils thick. Remember, as we've demonstrated in other surface preparation videos, it's really important to prepare the substrate properly. Typically, we're shooting for a CSP concrete surface profile of between 3 and 5, which can be obtained either by shot blasting or dustless grinding with an aggressive diamond grit. So once the surface has been prepared properly, now it's time to roll on our E02 100% solids primer for the quartz system. So what we're going to do is today we're going to apply it. Now we're going to wait about 10 to 12 hours, or the next day we're going to come back, and then we start with our double broadcast quartz system. When we come back in the morning, we're looking at the substrate, we're evaluating it. If we see pinholing or bubbling, typically what we want to do is we want to go ahead and sand that with a 100 grit sanding screen, and then vacuum the residual dust, and then solvent wipe it. You just have to have that surface clean prior to going to the next step. If you're left with a pristine surface that's free of any voids or pinholes, and you're within a 24-hour window of opportunity, you don't need to sand it. So you can go right onto it with the next step. Why use a quartz system? Well, it's a highly durable industrial grade system. If you have heavy impact, perhaps machine shops, actually it's used a lot in food prep areas where you need chemical resistance as well. This is a good scenarios of where you would use this product. What's great about this system is you can truly create what we refer to as a seamless system. What I mean by that, in food prep areas, for hygienic reasons, you have to have what we call a seamless floor that transitions from the horizontal floor and goes vertically on the cove base. So it's a great system for obtaining a cove base right transitioning into your seamless floor. With the double broadcast, you're typically obtaining an overall thickness of roughly 1/8 of an inch thick. And believe it or not, at that 1/8 of an inch thickness, you're obtaining a yield of about 12 to 13,000 compressive strength. So 12 to 13,000 PSI. It's just off the charts in terms of the compressive strength and the abrasion resistance. Once you've done that, then you're going to clear coat. So what's going to determine the type of clear coat that goes over the top of it is the application in which it's being applied. For example, if you need chemical resistance, you might want to consider using a Novolac epoxy, which is going to give you great chemical resistance. We can get into different aliphatic urethanes and polyaspartic sealers, which we'll cover in the next section of videos. For now, we're going to go ahead and mix our Perdure E02. It's a 2-to-1 system, 2 parts A to 1 part B. So I've already previously weighed this material out. So on this side I have my A. You can see the level is here. And then on the B side, we're half of the A. We're half of the A. So we're mixing a small quantity. It's not a bad idea when you're mixing any type of a resin material. Oftentimes what people will do is they'll have a third bucket, a third mixing bucket. They'll take this container, dump it into a clean bucket, and then they'll take this and mix into a third bucket, with the logic being you don't want to have any unmixed material on the rim of the bucket. I have heard horror stories where you simply start dumping this into here, and perhaps some of the B side runs down the side of the bucket and never gets mixed. Well, guess what's the first thing that comes out of the bucket onto your floor is unmixed B side. And imagine if you're out on a 3,000 square foot floor right in the middle of a floor and you have a section that hasn't set up. So you have to be very, very particular with your mix ratios. Your 2-to-1 ratio, you must honor that at all times. Also, you're going to mix for 3 minutes. Don't try to cut corners and mix for 1 minute or 2 minutes. Go ahead and thoroughly mix that material for a good solid 3 minutes. Once you have it mixed up, especially if it's a large volume, a 3-gallon kit, for example, you would want to get this on the floor literally quickly within 2 to 3 minutes in this volume. You would want to dump it on the floor. You would use a notch squeegee to get it dispersed out over the square footage, and then you would back roll that with your 3/8 snap roller. So we're going to go ahead and mix this material. Okay, we're going to mix that. It's our 2-to-1 ratio. Mix for a good solid 3 minutes. You know, despite the fact that we're working with the quartz system and we're only rolling down our E02 primer, it's just routine for me to always de-lint our supposedly lint-free rollers. Now remember, we're going to be building up 1/8 of an inch of quartz and resin over the top of this, so theoretically you could just not go through this routine, but I'll tell you, most resin guys, most epoxy installers, it's just a good practice, good routine. Every time you use a new roller, just de-lint it. So this is a great, fast, easy way, is just take your roller and run up and down, as you see here. And I always find it somewhat comical because on the labels of our rollers, it claims to be lint-free, where when you look, you can see all of this lint on the edges of the tape. So it's just good practice to go ahead and get in the habit of doing. Otherwise, that lint would end up on your floor. Okay, I'm going to start rolling down our primer.